right, hello everybody, and welcome to the first episodes, the first episode, not episodes, episode of Mouse Minds here. I am joined by our amazing cast here, and we have a new addition this week, Luella. So welcome, Luella, to our show. So we have now we have with Luella being here, we have coverage on both coasts because we have her in California and we have us over here in Florida. And I am actually right now I am live, and the Magic Kingdom is like back that way, maybe like a mile or two down that way. So if there's fireworks in about 30 minutes, you know why. So there may be fireworks behind my head. I think it's back that way. My direction is off. I don't know which way I'm facing right now, but I am facing some direction here. And magic will there'll be fireworks at some point, and if they do happen, I will I will try to turn the camera to wherever that is. But we are here this week live with the Mouse Mind Show, and I want to welcome everybody and thank you for joining us this week. This is an amazing show. I love doing it. I love all of you, our co-hosts. You guys are all amazing. Lisa, Michael, Brittany, thank you for showing up and being co-host. This is fantastic. Now, this week we have a very interesting topic for you guys. We want to come with new topics every week, and of course, we like to be sort of the Thinking Pans podcast and dive a little deeper. But we're going to keep light tonight, and we're going to be talking about our greatest Disney moments. I say Disney moments. I think we really wanted to delve into the parks themselves and talk about our greatest Disney parks moments. But um, I know Luella and myself have moments, maybe not necessarily in the parks, where we've met Disney legends or Disney celebrities, so on and so forth. And so we want to talk about that too. And before we kick that off, speaking of Disney celebrities, I have to admit that I made a apparently a very large Disney faux pas this week when I was at the taping for the Christmas parade this week at the Magic Kingdom. Because and I'm sure you guys know because you saw my messages, but there was a Disney celebrity that was within arm's reach of me, and I had no idea. I say Disney celebrity, but he's more of an ABC celebrity. But everyone knew who he was except for me and all my other friends who are Disney fans were upset at me for not knowing that I think it's Dustin Hoff was in front of me from Dancing with the Stars, and he videoed me, and he was like standing like arm's length in front of me, and I had no idea who he was, and everyone was chanting his name, and I joined in because I'm like, okay, yay,
Are
and
you sure it's Dustin or
it
is it Derek?
oh, Derek. Sorry, Derek. I apologize, Derek.
Even
I
better. We
still,
have no idea
I,
with this
I
guy.
can't, I still don't know.
You're
This
still
is the thing. I
struggling with
still don't know. I'm
it.
still struggling with it. So yes, it is Derek. And
You're tough.
I still have no idea. I don't watch Dancing with the Stars, so you'll have
That,
to
that,
forgive me.
and that's totally fine. We'll give you grace because if you don't watch Dancing with the Stars, how else would you know?
Exactly, exactly. But apparently, he's hosting the parade this year, so I had the privilege to be in the parks that day and see the parade. I mostly went because I didn't want to pay to go to the Christmas party to see the parade, so I thought I would see it for with my annual pass on a regular day. So it was fun, but yes, I had no idea who he was. Speaking of Disney celebrities, so I met a Disney celebrity, I guess you would call him, and I had no idea. So there you go. That's a great way to kick off this show.
Sounds
So
like we're better off talking about people that we do know.
exactly.
There's your
So
transition. So,
so speaking of Disney parks moments, things that we enjoy at the parks, or memories that we have at the parks that resonate with us. Um, Whoever wants to start, please. Like I say, I always feel bad starting off myself. I know I gave that story there because I thought it was funny. But anyone who wants to kick us off with their favorite Disney moment, please chime in.
well, I know somebody had two pretty awesome events this weekend. Don't know who that might be on the West Coast, but she could share at least one of them to get us started.
Oh gosh, well, I think that's the beauty of being in the West Coast, and so I certainly have a little bit more opportunity, but I I attended an event at the Bowers Museum, and the Bowers Museum is actually located not too far from Disneyland. So there's a lot of Disney events that are there. And if you are familiar with Rolly Crump, and he is probably one of Walt Disney's early Imagineers. He's quite a whimsical character, and his son, Rolly Crump has since passed, unfortunately, but his son was promoting a book about a lot of the whimsical art of his father, Rolly Crump. And this book was supposed to be promoted probably like kind of around near COVID. And so Rolly Crump is from Oceanside, which is not too far from Disneyland. It's about an hour, and he had a lot of collection of his artwork, and this book is a culmination of all the photos of this artwork. A lot of this artwork has since been auctioned off at Van Eaton Galleries, but he has this collection of books, and so he was there promoting it with other famous artists, Thomas Kuntz, Chris Nichols, and George Winnie. And it was moderated by Dusty Sage, who's a part of Mice Chat. And it was a wonderful evening of memories of Rolly Crump, memories of his artwork, and he's was Walt's Imagineer, but he did a lot of things on the side. He didn't just do Disney. So this art may be a little bit racy for some people. It's not all Disney, but it is available for purchase. And if you are able to purchase a hard copy, prior to his passing, he actually signed a lot of his books. And so I think you can go and Google it and purchase it. And it was a great talk, and it was great to hear from his son, Chris Crump, about stories of his father. So I attended that event over the weekend. So touches of Disney, and I don't know if anybody has any questions about that.
Well, I
So
can
what kind
honestly
of,
say that I'm definitely jealous because Rolly Crump is like the original, or one of the original Imagineers, right up there next to Bob Gurr, in my opinion.
Yes,
One
and
of the
Bob Gurr
one of
was
the
there as
greats.
well. I saw Bob Gurr. He is attending that event.
Well, now I'm really jealous because I cannot be alone with Bob Gurr for 5 minutes because I totally fangirl. And the way I reacted when I saw him at at Hollywood Studios and just turned around and stared at him and said, "Holy crap, you're Bob Gurr." Excuse my language. And he just looked at me and was like, "What? You want a picture now?" And I said, "Please." so so yeah. But Bob Gurr is a true gem. Raleigh Crump was just right on the same level. They both had sort of this personality. Of course, Bob Gurr more than Raleigh Crump, but they both had a personality to them that was fantastic, and they were so great with people. So
Yeah, yeah. So it was a wonderful event. It was a wonderful event.
so what kind of crowd does something like that draw?
Well, it's all kinds of fans. Some people who fly in. It wasn't Bowers Museum is in the city right next to Anaheim, which is where Disneyland is. But I unfortunately had to come late because I had a prior engagement, so I sat in the back. And after I posted it, I had all these people message, I was there too. And they're from out of state. And I was like, darn it, because I had to leave right away after. So I was just there for the event and left. I couldn't hang out. But it's a lot of people who love history, who love um, just hearing the backstories of Rolly Crump, and also a lot of art fans because he was an artist and he did other art besides Disney art. So those are the kind of people who attended.
Nice, thank you.
all right, so
I was just
who
going to
was?
share.
Go
I
ahead.
was actually able to be part of a team interviewing Chris Kump just a few weeks ago. And I know that he was saying that that Rolly's book was to buy it at babytattoo.com because that is where you can get the signed version. So
Yeah.
it's called the Great Crump Presents His Magic, the Art of Rolly Crump, and it's a signed hardcover. So just thought I'd throw that in there since
Oh,
I just
thank
had
you.
the opportunity to talk to him.
Thank you for adding that. And I say some of it's a little racy. So just so you know.
Yeah, it's not all Disney. So
I remember reading some of his book and other people's books where they talk about the kind of art that he drew and what would be hanging up in his office that maybe shouldn't have been hanging up in a cubicle. But interesting gentleman when it came to his art.
Mhm.
Yes. If you're interested in like the Tower of the it was at the New York City World's Fair, the Tower of the Winds in front of the Small World.
Mhm.
There's pieces of that because that's what Rolly Crump did. Tower of the Four Winds.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, I have a signed copy of his first book, the soft cover, that he was kind enough to sign for me. I'm probably gonna have to look into this one now too. Add it to my Disney library. Nice. So, Brittany, Lisa, you want to share?
I can one of the things that I've had so many things that have happened. But I was honestly thinking of an experience that was not with a famous Disney anyone, because I've had a few of those, but one of my favorite all-time experiences was when my daughter was chosen at Festival of the Lion King. We love Animal Kingdom. It's our favorite thing. And so she got to be in charge of the giraffes, which we always laughed because we often ended up sitting in the giraffe section. But she was, and this was 2013 that this happened. There have been many, many things, but we still will watch that little video and that little snippet in time, and that made an impression on our whole entire family. We actually took one of our former foster kids with us that trip too, and she was chosen to get up and dance and do some things. So it was quite a special experience for the kids because there's only 4 people chosen each show, even though they do those shows multiple times. I don't know if any of you have ever been chosen, but it's typically and we had a cast member that made sure that we could get that experience. So that was wonderful.
And I think it's thanks to that show that we all now know what a giraffe sounds like.
I know.
Yeah, it always gets the laugh from the crowd, that one. So now what do they have her do? Do they parade around?
Oh, she was the one. Well, so they both say two of the 4 girls that I had with me were parading around at the end when they give them instrument, or when they used to give them instruments, and at the very end. But then she did the whole, you know, spotlight on her. What sounds a giraffe make? And she knew that it was a bleat, and so she went ah, and she was like, the I forget her name now. I used to know her name very specifically. She said, "Oh my goodness, you know what the giraffe sounds like." And so it was just really cute. She had never been in front of that many people except for like at gymnastics events, and to have that microphone when you're just little, it was cute.
Nice. And like I said, you have it on tape, so you can watch that anytime you want, which is awesome.
Yep.
Yes, with her graduating high school now, this coming spring, I figure that's going to be one of those little videos that gets shown.
Oh, that's how adorable.
Nice.
Those magical memories.
I think for me,
All right, who wants to go next?
the biggest one that I can think of was I got DVC as a gift maybe 10 years ago, probably more, 2002. Wow. And it was presented, and it was at Wilderness Lodge. And to me, Wilderness was always the campgrounds. And I just remember going, man, Wilderness Lodge, what am I going to do? And I'm like, all right. Wound up visiting, and my jaw just dropped for that very first visit when I walked into that building. And like all of a sudden, my face lit up. I'm like, this is awesome. Now I'm excited about this. And that's just one thing, like that very first visit to the lodge always stuck with me. And now it's my favorite place. And if I'm going to go work from Walt Disney World, I'll drive up and I'll just grab a spot on that fourth floor. and it's just, it's a great place to be the office for the day. But you, Brittany?
I can totally agree with you. Sitting on the edge there and kind of looking over into the, I don't know, I guess you call it lobby area there is just, it's so gorgeous. Even just sitting by the fireplace, in there is with the running water and the streams. It's absolutely breathtaking. And then Fort Wilderness too. Even just stepping into Fort Wilderness next door, right next door, the campgrounds, and just sitting and hearing the nature and everything else going on is a treat as well. That whole area is just some of the best that Walt Disney World has to offer, in my personal opinion.
I remember even when I went to Disneyland Paris, I had to make sure I got into Sequoia Lounge. I'm like, this is where the lodge. Just that mentality. I'm like, this is the resort where I need to make sure I can stay while I'm visiting. So that was great.
Someone's ready to board. It sounds
Yeah.
like.
Oh, sorry, that's my text chime. Turn that down.
That's great.
I remember I was on hold, was talking with one of the Disney reservation agents. Did I hear Star Tours? I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go ahead and go. So mine would be when my husband proposed to me in front of Cinderella Castle. We got early entry into Magic Kingdom that morning because we had a breakfast reservation. And my husband, of course, I had no clue what was going on, but he's like, we need to get up there and get a picture with the photo pass person. And I was like, no, we have breakfast reservations. Like, we can do pictures later. So he just kept persisting. And I just thought we were posing for a picture. He got down on his knee and he asked me, would you be my happily ever after? And that night, I know, it was adorable. And it just so happened that was when the cheerleading competitions were going on. And we didn't know there was a group of cheerleaders behind the statue that just started cheering. So it was like very, appropriate when they started cheering. But that night we got to see the happily ever after fireworks show for the first time. And that was like, that brought me to tears because he had asked, would you be my happily ever after? And then that fireworks show was just mind blowing. So our wedding was happily ever after themed. We haven't seen it since because when we honeymooned there, it was during COVID, so they were not doing the fireworks. And then when we took our daughter this past time back in February, they had the enchantment one. So when we go in a couple weeks, we're super excited to see happily ever after again. And I'm sure I'll bawl like a baby. Just because even the words of that song like resonate. And we've even talked like how now we see how our life is the happily ever after that we imagined. We got married, we have a beautiful little girl now, we have another one on the way. So for me, that was my special Disney memory, was when he proposed right there in front of Cinderella Castle.
I have a similar story to yours, which I'll share with at the time with my ex-wife. I did the same. I did the same Disney proposal, but mine was, and this is still one of my favorite days. Um, I had a friend of mine that Lisa and I both know who this is, who is an Imagineer, actually helped me create a scavenger hunt uh, with all the places across Walt Disney World that were important to us, and we actually went ahead of her and placed items like notes in each location to where the next thing was, and it all culminated with it ending at the top of the World Lounge at Bay Lake Tower, and then as the fireworks went off, I proposed to her as well.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Very sweet. Very, very sweet.
Very sweet.
And Lisa was there because she saw it live on Periscope.
I was going to say,
Because I
and
live
I was
streamed
there
it.
virtually.
Yes, there was a lot of people there virtually.
Yes, there were so many.
Fantastic.
So, what was the other event you were at this weekend? What was the second one?
So
Was that Disney related? Or?
yes and no. Disneyland is situated in a city, if you've ever been there. So
Mhm.
it's not necessarily like, well, while Disney World, you're surrounded by all the acres. I think that's one of the reason why Walt Disney purchased then did the Florida project, because he didn't like how when Disneyland started to form, all these other people started. I mean, it's really situated in the city of Anaheim, so there's lots of rules with fireworks and and other things. There's
Especially
houses
now.
right next to Disneyland. Yeah. But there's a hotel there that's across the street from Disneyland called the Howard Johnson. And they have a special room that they just transformed, one of their suites called, and they named it the Retro House of the Future. And unless you book it, which is very expensive, you can't really see it how it looks like. And I've been very curious about
Mhm.
seeing it. So one of my favorite artists, I don't know if you've heard of him, his name is Dave Avanzino. We had a meet and greet at the one of the rooms, and I'm sure you've seen some of his arts. He's the one that makes the letters into different attractions. He might
Mhm.
have a Walt Disney World one. He has a Disneyland one, and any other ones. And if you want to have a personalized one, he'll do your name in all these different attractions. Well, he was having a meet and greet there, and so that's why I had to leave the Rolly Crump event to go to the meet and greet, and see how this room looked like. That, was to meet Dave. I've met him many times because he's one of my favorite artists, but I wanted to see this room. And it is a kind of mid-century modern retro
Mhm.
1960s vibe, like old
Modeled
Tomorrowland vibe. um,
modeled after the House of the Future
yes,
that was in Disneyland.
yes, modeled after the House of the Future, which is no longer there in Disneyland. But it was very 1960s, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful suite, decorated with a model of the House of the Future. Decorated, I want to say, old 1960s Tomorrowland. Now, Disneyland's Tomorrowland is a hot mess right now, but back in the day, it was kind of retro 1960s. I want to say kind of Palm Springs vibe. A lot of art from another artist, Shag, that I love. If you've seen any of Shag's art, and just this theming of Jetsons. I want to say, if you ever watch that cartoon, The Jetsons, that's what it looks like. So that was the other event that I attended to, and Dave Amzino was very kind. Anyone who attended the event got a free piece of art, his art.
Oh, that's
Nice.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
that
very
House of
awesome.
the House of the Future suite is just amazing. It's totally retro Tomorrowland, which honestly I feel is the best Tomorrowland. And I still, to this day, every time I go to Disneyland, I shed a tear every time I see that empty track just sitting above Tomorrowland where we used to have People Mover
Yeah,
in at Disneyland, and well, and for a very short period, we had Rocket Rods, but I still shed a tear for that because it's just it's it would be so nice. I wish they would bring the People Mover back in some way, shape, or form. I mean, the track is there.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of the things I love about Walt Disney World's, the Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland, is you still have the People Mover.
Hmm.
If you don't know, the OSHA, which is like California's like occupational hazard, uh, that's the reason why Disneyland doesn't have a Tomorrowland. There's no real escape route for disabled.
Oh,
And
I
so
didn't know that.
that's the reason. So OSHA has
Huh.
axed that. And so until they find a safe escape route for disabled, that will never come to fruition. And from everything that I've heard, it really requires pretty much the demolition of those tracks, because it was never made to have back in the 50s. So that's why
Wow.
there's no People Mover.
I
That's one of the reasons.
I was
Quote me on
always
this. This is all from talks that I've attended, but I do know
yeah.
that having a good escape route for wheelchair bound is essential.
I mean, it definitely makes sense because of the fact that when you go to California, one of the things you notice most is the signs everywhere that tell you that there's carcinogenic materials. The little warning labels on like every building, which was a shock for someone like me from Florida, because I'm like, why they're warning me about everything. But I was always told that there was so much damage from it being rocket rods to the actual structure, because when they did the banking for rocket rods and it went so fast that it wasn't built for that, so that it put cracks in the structure and everything else because of that. That's what I was told.
No,
But
I think
what you're saying makes a lot more
that's
sense.
very valid too. When they stopped the people mover, then they still wanted to utilize that space, put in the rocket rods, and it really wasn't made for that. But to have the people mover come back, I think that's everyone's dream. But there's definitely needs to be a lot more structural in repairs and an escape route if you get stuck on there. Yeah. So
I didn't even think of that because a lot of those evac walkways, there's no safety rail. I guess they don't want to mess with the integrity of the view of the structure, the safety as the cars are passing through. I don't know how wide it would be if you had to push a wheelchair through there. So that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So that's why.
And a ramp. Most of them evac right to a set of stairs.
Yes, and so
Yeah.
and I think Florida has different requirements than California. So Disneyland's Tomorrowland, it's terrible. It's terrible. Every time they go to D23, like, make an announcement that you're gonna fix Tomorrowland. Don't.
Yeah, they haven't really done much to that area. I can't even remember the last time they really did anything to that area. I think, didn't they make like minor adjustments to Autopia? That was like the last thing I think I can remember. But other than that, I don't remember much.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but like segueing back, that was the event I attended. It was to see a room, a hotel room.
Nice.
And that's one thing I'm very jealous of. I still don't know. I mean, I get it, but I'm very jealous that you guys get D23 every year, or I guess every other year, as when they have it now. So I'm very jealous for you guys having the expo, because we don't really get that over here. I don't think we've had that here. I don't remember it being here at all. Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's ever been here the years that they've had it. So I'm very jealous for that fact. But we do get Destination D, which I've been to a few times, and those are always amazing. And I will never forget the moment that they had the Dreamfinder, Ron Schneider, I'm mispronouncing his name, the original Dreamfinder, on stage with Figment and oh my gosh, my brain is having a moment. Why don't I remember this? But them singing "Imagination" on stage, um, with Robert Sherman. I don't know why I
Oh,
can
that's
think of that name.
awesome. Yeah.
On stage with him and doing it all together with the crowd, and literally like there was not a dry eye in that room. I mean, everyone was not expecting that. It was like a major surprise. He came out in the outfit and everything, and with Figment was there, and I'm telling you, there was not a dry. Even the girl that got up on stage to kind of close out the show was in tears. That was just, that was everyone in that room's childhood, like right on the stage. So that was like one of the coolest things that ever happened to me. And that day I got to meet Marty Sklar too. So that was a that was a pretty good day.
That's awesome. Yeah. Anytime Figment's there, how can you not smile? And then you have Dreamfinder. So yeah.
Yeah.
And to piggyback off that, one of the conventions in New Jersey, Chuck McCann was there.
Hmm.
And he was the voice of the Dreamfinder on the attraction. And everyone's there getting him to sign pictures from DuckTales or any other cartoon that he was on. And I was the only one there with the picture of Dreamfinder from the attraction. And he wound up just breaking out into the voice. And I'm standing there, the Dreamfinder is talking to me. Like, that's when we had a podcast. I could have had Chuck McCann do an intro for us. You're listening to. But I mean, this was back in the day.
Yeah.
But that was fantastic. So I really, really enjoyed meeting him and just hearing that voice again, because, unless they do something with that attraction, we're never going to hear the Dreamfinder again.
Yes. Very cool.
Does anybody have any other magical moments that they'd like to share from the parks?
Well, I
Ready
mean,
to okay.
I always love. I also have like children, and when they were young, the moment that they meet a character they love is truly, I feel magical. And people always say, "Well, should I bring my kid? They're not going to remember it." But I think you'll remember it, and they'll remember joy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember when
Mm-hmm.
my we're Mickey Mouse fans, and when my little kids first met Mickey, and how they ran to the Mickey and talked to it, because in their eyes, and it's true, he's real. I think those are very magical. So even to this day, I think a lot of adults like to line up to meet characters because I think it brings them back to those memories, whether it be with their children or just themselves. And so I don't knock any adult in line to see characters. I'm one of those. And then when my kids see the characters, because it there's a feeling there that you can't explain to some
Mm-hmm.
people who don't understand why you're an adult in line to meet characters. But I love it. I think it brings joy. And when the first time my children met Mickey Mouse, I can still see it. I can still picture it, how they ran and hugged it. And it's those are wonderful, magical moments.
And
I
I
would
can
agree.
honestly
Yeah.
and I can honestly say too that um, being that character interactions are far, far better at Disneyland than they are at Walt Disney World. It is night and day. You have things where like you'll be in the park in the morning, and Belle will be roaming through Fantasyland, and she will just get on the carousel with you, and things like that don't happen at Disney World. Mickey just randomly being on Main Street, things like that don't happen here in Florida. Everything with the characters is like a production. It requires a line, and they get you in and get you out. You get your photos, you get your things signed, and that's it. Even one of my most favorite restaurants, the Plaza for breakfast. Having the characters just are so different. It's not about yes, they get to every table and see everyone, but I won't say that people don't care as much. It's just that people don't they don't aren't really like taking 30 photos. They want to interact with the characters, so they do fun things. I remember um, Tigger came out and like made faces at me, and then ran outside the building and leaned up against the glass and made even more faces at me. And you just don't get that type of. The only other place that you get interaction like that would be on the cruise line, which is, I mean, a character fiesta because, there's always characters in the main like atrium lobby there, and they're always doing all kinds of stuff. But Disneyland is far superior when it comes to character interactions because Disney World is so much of a reduction just for everything. You can really see. People say that, or I guess people, the numbers say too that Disneyland is more of a park for locals, and are pass holders, and that is definitely true. There are more pass holders out there, and it definitely shows in a lot of different ways, and that's one of the ways, because it's not like people that come here once a year and want to get in line to see the characters. They just want to have that interaction, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that it kind of depends. Um, I think though you can still have lots of magic for the little child that's in line at Walt Disney at Magic Kingdom to see the character, or
Oh,
when
of
you go
course.
to the princess and see the princess. So it is true that Disneyland is a locals park, which may be the reason why maybe a lot of people aren't you know gravitating to all the characters all at once because that person has gone to the park every other week, every weekend. But I think as just for what characters are and seeing them like in the little child's mind,
Hmm.
I think you can agree that it's just a wonderful memory. It's a wonderful memory.
And
Absolutely.
I think there's something to that because coming out of Walt Disney World, where, as Robert said, everything is structured. Has anyone else been over to Disneyland Paris?
Yes, I have.
You are. You have. I don't know. Do you remember the character interactions there?
Yeah, you have to. you have to schedule them in advance. If I remember
I
correctly, you
was
had to
there.
schedule them in advance. Like, I don't remember if there was a day of or beforehand, but you had to, like, it was almost like a fast pass system, if I
Yeah,
remember
I was there
correctly.
15 years ago, and there were no lines, no structure. And I'm standing there like the good American who's just trained to wait online and meet the character. And every time you go to take a step up, somebody else jumps in front of you, and it was just a free for all. And that's when you're like, all right, it might be time to start knocking people over. Let's see what we can do over here to get this picture with Darth Vader. Because otherwise, I'll be standing here all day and the park will be closed and I'll be helping him clean up. So it was culture shock there,
Yeah.
where, California, it's just the, oh, look, Belle's on the carousel again, or, oh, here comes Mickey Mouse again. Over there, it's just a free for all. And over here, you spend $200 at the Christmas party to stand online for 3 hours to go meet Jack and Sally. So it's just what we're accustomed to at this point,
And when
good
you
or
meet
bad.
them, it's magical, right?
That
It's
is great.
magical.
That
Yeah.
is true.
And you're starving because you didn't buy anything to eat while you were standing on that line. So this was a great show, everyone. I'm glad we all made it. Thank you.
That's so funny. But we didn't buy anything to eat because, a lot of times when we're sitting waiting for a parade or waiting for something, like that's the time that we all eat. That's so funny. I did think of one other thing, which Robert was made that actually made me think of it. I took a Disney cruise for my 40th birthday. Uh-oh.
Oh, I think we lost you.
Okay. I took a Disney cruise for my 40th birthday with my best friend. And she and I then came to Magic Kingdom afterwards. We ate at Cinderella's royal table and we met a huge group of friends, including Robert, several people from
Am I
Paris.
back?
You are back. We had several folks from Periscope groups that several people that had followed me. We all had a big meetup at the Contemporary. And then after that, we went over to Magic Kingdom, a few of us, and ate at Cinderella's royal table. Didn't matter that I was turning 40. You would have thought that I was turning 5. They royally treated me. I was like, I mean, I'm gonna get embarrassed now. Like I had so much attention on me and like they just went above and beyond. I don't know if any of you all have had like the adult experience. I always love seeing that happen for my kids, but as an adult, like they went above and beyond, made a big deal, I was so incredibly pleasantly surprised. I don't think I stopped smiling that whole entire night. So, as much as we think about things for the kids, I've got lifelong friendships, that started really with and around the love of Disney and the parks. But, I'm just there's so many memories. Um, when Michael said, "Do you have any memories?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh. Like how big do you want these?" Like, I didn't know how to pinpoint some because, I've done meetups with multiple times with many different people from multiple countries, you know, and it's been eye-opening and very endearing throughout all of his memories.
It's fantastic. And you should be celebrating. Yeah, it shouldn't matter what. Anytime you another turn around the sun is worth celebrating.
So each anniversary of your 40th birthday, and you just celebrate 40 again.
I wanted to stop like at 29, but no, well.
I think at Cinderella's royal table and be treated like majesty.
Yeah.
You had 29.
Right?
Awesome.
All the princesses made a big deal. Our server made a big deal, brought a cake, I mean, everyone around just even above and beyond. Like there were other kids there. And and I was like, I am not the focus, but to them, I was the focus. That was kind of fun.
Great.
Very good.
Well, I speaking of magical moments, I will share one last magical moment here. Our magical moments. I have so many. It's hard to decide which ones are the most magical for me because you go to the park so many times, and every time is I can't think of a time that I went to the parks that it wasn't very magical. Even the days where I've been covered in rain and it's been pouring rain and I've soaked are magical. Um, but I will say some of the most magical times that I've ever had. Back to what Michael said, the Fort Wilderness, the campsites. I've had nothing but magical moments there. There was a moment where I was camping at the campsite once a month, almost sometimes twice a month, just because it was so much fun. I just take the weekend with my friends, or we they used to keep the pools open late. You could swim whenever you wanted. You have a great time in the woods, and there's bonfires, and you watch the water parade on the beach, and it's just s'mores with Chip and Dale and Trails End. Eating fried chicken until you make yourself sick. Then passing out in your tent and waking up to the beautiful sound of nature and a ferry boat off in the distance. Shoving people to or escorting people to Magic Kingdom. Those are hearing those magical sounds, just waking up to that, and the birds chirping, and then that ferry boat in the back, just nothing like it. I mean, where else in the world can you really hear something like that and know that that magic is happening, you know, far from you? So that to me, really encapsulates my feelings, my magical feelings towards Disney is having it right there and being in that and just knowing that magic is right there. Staying at, even staying at, when I've stayed at properties like or the Grand Floridian, waking up and seeing Castle, hearing the monorail, staying at the container inside the main concourse and seeing the monorail roll through the building. I mean, or even staying at the Disneyland Hotel and waking up and seeing that monorail pool, monorail slide, I should say, at the pool, and having the fireworks above the bed. I mean, that's Disney magic to a T. And it's,
Yes.
I think, as I think a lot of the pass holders, especially in we come so much that we kind of take that for granted, the magic that's right in front of us. We take for granted what's sitting right there, and all we just see it as, oh, hey, we're gonna go ride this ride or that ride or that ride. But when you actually, sometimes I have to just stop and just sit on Main Street or just take a walk around World Showcase and just take it in, because we, I know that living here, I am so privileged to live here because I get to have this magic all the time, and it's such a great thing. And I know, being close to Disneyland, it feels the same way. I mean, walking in the same. I mean, the first thing I thought of when I walked into Disneyland for the first time, I remember it exactly to it. I and I just I like froze up, and I was like, oh my God, Walt walked right here. This is where he walked. He was right. He could have walked right in this spot, and I am standing in the same place he walked, and there was and I was like, I was taken back, to think of the history and everything. And even at Walt Disney World, the history actions that were there, things that happened inside the parks. There's so much history in all the parks that it really adds to that magical perspective and makes it that much more magical.
I think you're right, because to me, at this point, I don't stop and watch fireworks. I don't watch stage shows. Fireworks to me are a time to get on the rides with the longer wait times because everyone else is watching the fireworks. And like this weekend, my friend's in town and invited me to go on the fireworks cruise. And then when I went with them last year, I took it. I'm like, this is cool. And I don't stop and watch the fireworks, but I took it from a whole different vantage point. I'm like, I don't stop to appreciate these things anymore because I am there so often. And I'll take shortcuts and I'll go through and I don't stop and look around anymore like I did when I wasn't local. And I miss that. I miss that, having that opportunity to just look and take it in and explore the little corners that you forget are there, or go into the country instead of just doing the loop to go get a snack. So that's on point. Thank you.
That's why I think it's fun when you go to other parks besides your home park, because sometimes you neglect all the little magical touches of your home park. And then when you go to another park, even though it's a similar blueprint or footprint, you just see things a little differently. That's why I love going to Walt Disney World. I just love it. We go there when we can, even though I have Disneyland in my backyard. And then it makes you appreciate your home park. But then you also start to learn, like for me, that's why I'm so into Disney history, because when you start just enjoying the magic, then you want to learn the history, and then you just kind of go from there. So, next time you come to California, Walt touched a lot of LA. There's lots of things there that might show you
That's true.
around. Like,
That's
you
true.
want to know the history? We got to go to Griffith Park. We got to go to Griffith
That
Park where it all started.
that is true, and I gotta go to the what is it, the Tam O'Shanter too. I have to make my way
Tam
out there as well.
O'Shanter and
Yep.
his house on Woking Way, all that stuff. Studios.
And speaking to your story, Michael, about the boat cruise, I know I said I had one less, but I will share one more because you just made me think of it. There was one evening where I was at. This was when they used to have the wave at the Contemporary, and I was eating dinner at the wave, and I walked out to go to the bathroom in the main lobby there, and I saw like a boat captain standing there, and you know, I like a Disney boat captain, and I just said, he just looked at me and said hi, and I said hi, and he said, hey, he said, do you want to go on a boat ride? And I said, sure. What kind of boat ride? And he said, well, just come with me. And I ran back and I got my family and we ran over there and got on the boat ride, and he didn't tell me what it was, and then he walks us outside, and it's one of the fireworks cruises, and apparently someone had paid for the fireworks cruise for a birthday and just decided not to show up. So they had completely paid for the whole thing. The captain took us out to the boat. There was drinks and food on the boat that they paid for, and he said, hey, they're not here, so it's all yours. And I was like, wow. So we got taken out into the Seven Seas Lagoon, and we got to see the fireworks boat parade. The guy drove us around the lake or the lagoon a couple times, and that was just like, it's one of those things like, happened to be in the right place at the right time, and it just happened.
Wow, I wish I was
Nice.
there.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, that could have been literally anybody
Yeah,
at that moment. And that was you.
it was meant to
You
be.
know, hey, I'm going to go out and wash my hands for a quick second. Next thing you know, you're being dragged onto a boat for an incredible experience. Nice.
it's just, it's just one of those things. I think that when you go so often, it's just one of those things that eventually will happen. There's always magical moments. I mean, Disney is always trying to do magical moments. I mean, even at I've seen, it's part of the cast members, what they do. They this is they're told to create magical moments. Handing out a free ice cream bar to someone, or a free snack or something. They're told to do these things. So it's just one of those things that keeps people coming back. It's those small touches, those little details, and that's what I think makes. I mean, I can't speak for all of us, but I would think I would speak for all of us. That's what makes us so in love with Disney is the little details. The big details are great, but the little details, the finer details, those are just so on point that it makes that much more of an experience for us.
It cost them pennies on a dollar to give ice cream to a kid for free. And yet you just made that family's entire day. And that's, like you said, that's a reason, hey, we got to come back here tomorrow and spend more money. So that little touch that they can do for pittance is really impacting someone's entire vacation. People are so quick to go complain and write letters, but the one time you surprise them and give them that wow moment and their eyes light up, you made the kid's entire, he's going to go back and tell all his friends in school he got free ice cream at Walt Disney World.
Yep, those are the touches that make the big difference. And it may be like what I always think is it may be that person's one time that they get to spend in the Magic Kingdom. I've been hundreds and hundreds of times. However, it may be that person in front of me, or it might be their one and only time. This is their dream trip, their once in a lifetime thing. So making every trip special for every single person, Disney does a great job at that.
That's why we're there time and time and time again.
Well, guys, and if any of you has any last memories that they want to share before we wrap this up, and I give you my final thoughts. I don't really have any final thoughts, but but does anybody have any last memories before we wrap this up?
No,
Good.
well, we're just gonna keep making more memories, and that's what's great. Every time we go there, we make more memories, and it just stacks on into all like the great memories that we've already collected. So,
That's a great way to end it.
That, and I think one of the things we have to think about the most when we think about memories and creating memories is we think back to Walt, and we think back to Griffith Park, and we think back to Daddy-Daughter Day. And that's kind of what started Disneyland, having those memories with his daughter. And and that's what he's always said, and that's what the company from day one has always been about. And that's what keeps us coming back for more. And I think, like you said, we'll always be creating those memories and always looking to have more memories in the future. And I want to thank all of y'all for joining us this week. Brittany, Michael, Luella, Lisa, I want to thank you all for joining us. And I think that Tuesdays, if it works for you guys, we'll make it a regular fit for us here on Tuesdays at 8:30. Of course, this is the Mouse Minds podcast. We do the live stream on Tuesdays. We're working on getting the audio out. That's a work in progress. I'm working on editing that myself and getting that going. And we got this live stream for you. You can always find it on the Disney and Beyond channel on YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Like the stream and subscribe. If you hit the notification bell, of course, you'll get notified every time we go live. Tell all your friends, tell your brother, tell your sister, tell your family, tell everyone you know to come and join us because it's a lot of fun. And we like answering your comments and being interactive with you. So as we go on into the next week, I'll make sure that we have all the socials available for you guys to comment, like, share, whatever you want to do, and get the word out. And we look forward to reading your comments and answering your comments. I know Michael has designated 8 hours a day to reading and answering all your comments. I'm kidding.
To the mailbox each and every day. So bring them on, folks, and we will address and answer each one of them.
There you go. Well, that being said, guys, it's been a pleasure chatting with all of you this week. If any of you have unless any of you have anything else to say, I'm going to bid everyone farewell, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.